You're welcome to part 2 of nutrition of lactating cows. Once again, my name is Dr. Joshua Isiko, and I would like you to appreciate again what we call the nutrition of lactating cows, part 2. Once again, I'm Dr. Joshua Isiko. It's my name. I'm an animal feed expert. You probably watched my first part of this presentation. You learned the different types of feed for lactating cows. You've appreciated the change or the variation of nutrient requirements along with the cycle. You've understood how to feed the total mixed rations and the partial mixed rations. You've understood how to feed the dairy meal. You have understood the fact that a lactating cow is a living factory. You are tickled to really do something to prevent your lactating cows from becoming skinny cows because of the deficit. They deplete their reserves of the subcutaneous fat and become bony just because they are doing their best to give you the milk. So what now is in the second part of our presentation? Our second part will be dominated by some calculations, and I want to start right away to the first calculation of what we call estimating the daily feed intakes. When I talk of daily feed intakes, I'm meaning how much should an animal eat per day? How much should a dairy cow eat per day? How much of the total mixed ration? How much of the partial mixed ration should my animal eat per day? So to get that, these things are very important to note. We have different methods of estimation. And the first one is looking at what we call using the dry matter intake percentage of the cow's live weight. That is a calculation. Dry matter intake percentage varies according to breed, according to milk yields. It ranges between 2.5% to 4% for high milking cows and big volume, especially high milking cows. So that means I am looking at 2.5% of the live weight of that animal. What comes to your mind? You should know live weight, you should know the breed, you should know the milk yields you are looking at. So some of the things that most of the animals that we are rearing, roughly is estimated they're in the range of 3% of their live weight as dry matter intake. And that's not bad. But sometimes some animals that are not really prepared well, 3% of the live weight as dry matter intake may be too high. You find that feed is too much for them. I would like to give you an example. Assuming a cow of 500 kilograms weight, taking a dry matter intake percentage of 3%, what would be its daily feed intake? From the formula, I am using 500 kilograms. I've weight times the 3%, the DMI, which means 50. This gives us 15 kilograms of the dry matter per day. What does that mean? Dry matter is assuming that you need 15 kilograms without any moisture. Dried completely, you need 15. Not here, mark this. I am not talking of 15 kilograms of hair. No, hair is not dry matter. Hair is dried pasture or forage, but not dry matter. Because there is some pasture in it. There's some moisture in hair of about a minimum of 10% if it is over dried. So don't say I am meaning hair. No, I am meaning a form of feed with 0% moisture and 100% dry. Of course, that is not normal in the cases where we are feeding. So I am challenging you to know that there is another step for you to get how much the animal should feed per day. So you have to convert it to as fed intake. Is it hay? Is it silage? Is it fresh? So you convert this dry matter into what we call the as fed form of the feed, which is very important for you to know. So now, the other method would be feeding ad lib. Most of the farmers in Europe, because of the animal welfare movement now running all over, and in America, farmers have gone for what we call ad lib feeding. Ad lib feeding is feed until the animal gets full, or it just feels tired of eating. Oh, that one in Uganda or Africa would be a challenge because people struggle to even get the minimum quantity. How about to go for ad lib? But in case you are in such a situation, just give the animal until it gets tired. Whenever the feeder is empty, add, keep adding for you to feed what we call ad lib. So that's the next method that you would use to estimate. The question is, how now do I convert the dry matter intake to the daily feeding intake? How? This is what you would do. We have just calculated our 15 kilograms of dry matter intake previously in the previous slide as a way of converting or estimating the daily feed intake as a method. Now I would like to complete it in this slide. Assuming our cow, which is above, we have just seen in the previous slide, of 15 kilograms dry matter intake is the one we are feeding per day. I told you that that should be, we are assuming 0% moisture content. So for you to convert the daily feed intake, you need to know the moisture content or the dry matter content of that feed, that TMR, that PMR. It may be a mixture of hay, mixture of silage, a mixture of some other additives like soya, cotton, sunflower, maybe maize or maize bran, whichever. So you need to come up with the dry matter intake, the content of that. Commonly, TMRs are estimated to have 50% moisture content. That's what is estimated. And that means the dry matter content would be good. If you are given moisture content, you can determine dry matter content. In bracket here is a formula for you. If the person gave you moisture content, then calculate the dry matter by deducting moisture content from 100%. So what will remain is dry matter. So the daily feed intake per cow is now determined by by the dry matter intake times 100% divided by the dry matter content. Our 15 kilograms times 100 divided by 50. Ignore the percentage because they will cancel. 100% over 50%, they just cancel. So that means this animal will eat 30 kilograms of either partial mixed ration or total mixed ration as fed. Oh, too much calculation, but don't worry, it looks simple. And I think you are not getting worried about the figures. Do not give up. You now know how much to feed as fed daily feed intake for that cow. So don't measure 15 kilograms, which is dry matter, but instead measure 30 kilograms. And it has multiplied itself by 2 because the moisture content is 50%. If it was lower than that, the amount would be lower. You get me? I mean, it would be higher. If the moisture content was higher than that, the dry matter content was higher than that, the quantity would be low. Supposing the dry matter content was 70%, it would do 15 times 100 divided by 70. So it would be lower than 30 kilograms. And if the dry matter content was low, and it was high, low, and it was 50, below 50, maybe 30%, then it would be 100 divided by 30 times 15, which would make you go in the 40s, 40 kilograms and above. So know that the factor, what affects the quantity after getting the dry matter intake, the moisture content of your feed matters a lot. If you just give a plain quantity of 30 kilograms without minding the variation in the moisture content, you won't get the quality nutrition that you want. Because the 30 kilograms of a 50% dry matter content feed give different nutrients compared to the 30 kilograms of a 70% dry matter content feed. Well, that would be high. That's so you would not worry because you made the minimum. But assuming it is 40% or 30%, maybe the mixture is all fresh. You have fresh napier, fresh labla, everything fresh, and then you get some ingredients for soya or maize. You may find that the moisture content is as low as 35. The dry matter content is as low as 35. So if the dry matter content is as low as 35, that means you need to feed more. You need to feed more. And the animal struggles to finish sometimes those volumes, but yes, it works. Our next slide is pointing up on the estimation of diary feed intakes for groups of cows. You've calculated the feed intake for one animal. What if you have a group of 5, 3, 4? The first thing you have to know is calculate the average live weight of that group. So how do you do that? Take the weight, the live weight of each of the cow, total it up and divide by the number of cows to give you the average. And then calculate the average dry matter intake per cow. Still using that average weight and the percentage you've chosen, whether 3% or 2.5% dry matter intake percentage, you calculate the amount of dry matter. And then that average, convert it into average daily feed intake per cow, which we just calculated in the previous slide. Converting the dry matter into the as fed form based on the moisture content or the dry matter content in that feed. And then after getting the average, then estimate for the group. So get the average daily feed intake times the number of cows. So the total you get gives you the total amount of feed you should put in that pen per day. And if there are 5 feeders or 2 feeders, also put, we recommend the dairy feeders are not separate, it's just a rail. So put those kilograms along the rail in that section. So animals will sort out themselves, may feed from one end, comes to the middle, because the other end they will switch. Because unless when you have zero grazing animals, which are having different tubicles, so even if you have 5 animals, but every animal is feeding in its own tubicle without cross-cutting, they treat that as one cow. But if they can switch and go to any feeder, their choice, then treat them as a group. Yes, you've done now is the total mixed ration. The question is, how about the diary? How do I estimate the quantities for the diary? Interesting. It is important to note that the diary meal is not to be depended on to provide the minimum nutrient requirements of the lactating cow. I advise you to always go for what we call the basic ration. Feed everything in the TMR. Feed everything in the TMR and let the diary meal be just to attract the animals to the milking parlor. Why? Because the animal needs all those nutrients to make the milk. Master this. If you feed anything apart from a total mixed ration or a partial mixed ration, but most especially total mixed ration, you are feeding nutrients. Let us say some of you feed Napier in the morning, you feed lab in the afternoon. That's how most of the nutritionists or vets or whichever kind of person would advise you, because that's what was known at that time. But that messes up the production of milk, because milk production is like building a house. Assuming I have supplied only bricks and I forgot cement, the house will not be completed because there's no cement. Or I supplied all the bricks that I need to build 2 rooms, but I brought cement for 1 room, iron sheets for 2 rooms, everything 2 rooms. The cement becomes a limiting material. So also in nutrition, a nutrient that is not supplied at the same time that's needed becomes limiting, and determines how much milk you get. So for instance, if protein is supplied to only produce 3 liters, you will not get more than 3 liters a day. No way, you will not play around tricks on the animal. It is not that easy. So energy, sometimes we play tricks on energy and animals go to their reserve the fat and the skin, the viscera, deplete it and then use it to make a milk. But for protein, which is not reserved anywhere in the body, whichever you supply that day, is what you will get milk from. What you supply that morning is what it will use to make for you milk in the afternoon. So if you supplied only enough for 3 liters, you expect 3 liters at 3 p.m. when you are milking. If you supplied enough protein for 10 liters, expect 10 liters. So do not rely on dairy milk, because dairy milk is coming in at the point of milking. So it will not help you to influence milk yield for that particular milking time. It only helps you to influence milk yield for the next milking. I hope you've understood that. So always go for a balanced ration, which we call a balanced basic ration, before you look at the dairy meal. So in that way, the dairy meal will not be a big effect of the milk production on your farm if you've met the nutrient requirements of the animal using a total mix ration. So what would be the first method of estimating the dairy meal? The first method is using the DMI estimation, which is called the dry matter intake. It is believed that if an animal, for instance, the one we've just worked out with, of 500 kilograms, which is feeding 3% of its live weight, has a dry matter intake of 15 kilograms. And then that animal is producing 2 to 25 liters of milk. So the quantity of dairy milk it would feed per day will be calculated by get the milk yield per day minus dry matter intake times 0.5. So it is 25 minus 15 times 0.5. So what does that mean? That 25 minus 15 is 20 kilograms times 0.5 gives you 5 kilograms of dairy milk per day per cow. Oh, that's very much. But it is dependent on the production of that cow. So that means you split this into 2, 2 or 3, depending on the milking times. However, this should be noted here. I should have put this even in red. Do not exceed 8 kilograms per day per cow. Beyond that, the animal will generate a lot of lactic acid. And if you are using a total mixed ration which has already constraints, please, that's why we in total mixed ration or partial mixed ration which have customized dairy meals, we don't go beyond 1 kilogram a day of dairy meal on top of the other, because we are trying to control this. What happens is those ingredients are fermented very fast in the stomachs, so you generate a lot of acids. They go to the lower parts of the body, of which limbs are the first. So the hooves suffer laminitis due to that, and you will treat it using all kinds of drugs to never cure. One man made a comment that a time reaches when the animal feels like standing on its back instead of the limbs. So it sits and turns on its back and lifts its limbs up, telling you that I am finished. Too much pain, the limbs. The hooves are paining. So this happens because people just keep giving dairy milk beyond, find somebody giving dairy milk up to 12 kilograms, 15, because they don't have enough pasture. That's wrong. Do not do it. The other method is try and error. The try and error method, you just keep trying. So you get your animal just produced. First, give it 1 kilogram as a minimum per day. And then after doing a minimum per day, tomorrow, add another 1 kilogram and do it for 3 days consecutively. If the cow's milk increases by 2 liters, then it means that 1 kilogram has an impact. But if it doesn't increase, then that means that animal does not need dairy milk beyond 1 kilogram, which is for maintenance. Now, if it added 2 liters of milk, add another 1 kilogram, do it for 3 days and monitor until when you see there is no change. Stop at that point when the animal cannot add any more milk. If it is 2 kilograms, stick to that. It has just proven to you that there is no impact. It is not efficient to feed more than 1 kilogram or 2 kilograms of dairy milk when you are not getting 2 liters of milk. That is now looking at the economics. If I spend 1,000 shillings, for instance, to feed to produce 1 kilogram of dairy milk, or maybe that is I would say $0.3. But I get 1 liter of milk, which is going to give me $0.3 as income. What gain is there? Why do I labor? It should give me more. So if it gives me 2 liters, it means I put in $0.3 and I'm going to gain $0.6. So as simple as that. So do not just insist. 1 liter increase is not justifiable. Add a whole kilogram of dairy milk. There's no business sense there. Also, just to take you back to the previous slide, if you get a negative here, it means that that animal does not qualify for a dairy milk. The best you can do is give it 1 kilogram just to attract it to the milking parlor. Don't go beyond 1 kilogram. The moment you get a negative here, assuming the animal was giving 10 liters, there would be a negative of 5. So don't go ahead and multiply by 0.5 to get negative 2. No. That one is telling you that that animal is not even producing enough milk. It is below minimum. So the minimum production of an animal should be dry matter intake number or quantity. So mark that. I had forgotten. As I approach to concluding, I would like to remind you this you should be knowing a dairy farmer or any kind of person you may have heard about this. What feed resources are available for dairy nutrition? Grasses, of course, many the napier, different varieties, the brachiaria, different the two species, the Rhodes grass or the Croris Guyana, you have Cynodon, which is star grass, you have Guatemala, Chikuyu, Setaria, and many others. Perennia, all those and be used to feed. The legumes, Blab, of course, leading, Mokona, alfalfa, high protein. So you can make from any of those. Fodder trees, yes, Coriandra, Sibania, Lucina, and many others, Glicidia. So then talk of the common planting protein ingredients like cotton seed, sunflower seed, soybean products, palm kernel cake, rapeseed, and many others. New cake, and all these are plant protein, not animal protein. Mark that. We do not use animal protein ingredients in feeding dairy cattle. Even beef cattle do not do it. Imagine fish meal in a milking parlor. The milk will be fish meal. So I just avoid meat from cattle. And also, just because cattle are ruminants, they are fermenters. So this chicken of yours, higher poultry meal, meat bone meal, fish meal won't work for the cow. Then common plant energy ingredients like maize, sorghum, those are all the cereals, the tubers, the cassava, the the, the, the distillers products like brewers waste, maize bran, byproducts of cereal processing, all the bran, maize bran, rice bran, wheat pollen. All those are common energy ingredients that we can use in making total mixed rations or feed for dairy animals. Of course, don't forget the minerals. Premix leads in trace elements, limestone, shells, gilt, DCPTC. Vitamins still premix, and then other additives like toxin bind and salt are good also in making animal feed for dairy cattle. Mark at this. You have to chop all these if you are going to mix to make a total mix version. Make sure you chop the fodder to fine chops of at least 3 centimeters long. That will enable you mix them with others, but also to improve the feeding ability, the intake. The animal enjoys very well to feed that. First, to mix well, but also to ease feeding of the dirty matter by the animal you want to feed. Yes, people are asking a question, but where is the formula? You are not giving us any formula. Of course, there are many formulas. You can even download in internet. If you just put in TMR, you will get all sorts of formulas. That is because formulas are not restricted. I can make feed from anything. So there are billions of formulas or formulae in the world for the same type of feed. So what is important is the nutrient quality. I want to show you, I made this using Feedwin Interactive. I acknowledge PTC Plus and developed this tool. So here, this direct cattle TMR, these things down at the requirements, so the quality that's required. If you took this feed to the lab, it should have 65% of digestible nutrients. And this software, I was still using the total digestible nutrients energy system. Then the digestible crude protein of 9.9. When we say digestible, it means if you went for crude protein alone, it should be higher. This means most cases 65% of the crude protein or 60% depending on the animal or 70. So this is really high. It is digestible crude protein. And then calcium and phosphorus. In this software, we were doing for only 4, which is okay for cattle. But I would go to sugars, reducing sugars, RDP, and many others. Down here, I have graphs of minimum. You see 94% minimum, that's the supply, 100, and then this is high, meaning this is good feed. So this is the TMR. I have cotton, I have molasses, I have premix, I have sugar, soybean is toasted. I have toxin binder in, and I have maize silage and the maize stayovers, and then urea. Oh, interesting. So stayovers. So my main source of what we call roughage is silage. So the roughage is coming from silage, and then the non-roughage is coming from cotton, molasses, premix, soybean, and others. So this you can see it is about 80%, 81% is perfect. Then I put some rare for protein slightly. So mark at this. So when I put, this is my formula. I hope you know how to convert formulas to recipes. If you want to make now a quantity more than 100, you just do maybe 10 out of 100 times the quantity you want to make, get the proportion. It's as simple as that. So you see, this is one of the formulas. Yes, I know you can copy. It is a good quality feed. The other version is when I use another software. I can use even Excel and come up with this another software. Diary meal, I will give you an example with diary meal here, which is totaling to 50 maize bran, soybean, full fat, or toasted cotton seed, sunflower seed, limestone, DCP, premix, toxin binder, and salt. And this is a recipe for diary carton, general diary carton meal. Diary meal. So those are formulas. You can take that also, but just no formulas are many. So thank you. I would like to tell you one thing that you may not complete your questions about dairy nutrition for lactating cows, because these 2 hours of the talk cannot make you a feed expert or a nutritionist. They just give you insights on what you should pay attention to. In case you have more questions, this is my conclusion now. Consult an expert. As for me, I do my practice privately as a business under the Single Spark SMC Limited company. We are here to assist you in all livestock to feed efficient and profitable. You can contact us on Joshua Isiko at feedcalculator.com. It's my email. You talk to me directly. Write me an email. I'll respond. Do formulation for you, guide you on choosing resources, how to choose the right feeding technologies, and so on. If you want WhatsApp, our WhatsApp numbers are here. The Airtel one and then the MTN one. Reach us. We'll respond back to you. I must say it has opened your eyes. Your head is boiling now. You've probably noted some of the errors you've been making on your farms or in your advice if you are an extension worker. You've been making some errors. Yes, at least you've learned what to do. If you cannot handle the situation on your own, contact us, we support you. But I'm very confident that if you put into practice the few things we've just taught you, you are going to excel in dairy farming. You are going to produce milk like never before. You are going to have cows that are going to give over 45 liters of milk per day, and they will keep increasing. If you miss following those things, you will even buy a cow from a farm and they have told you that cow gives about for 30 liters of milk per day. You bring it to your farm and in just 1 month it drops to 5 liters. That has happened and many people think they switched their cows. No, they didn't. It is just the art of nutrition. Simple. They were feeding it differently. For you are feeding differently. It's a logic of the living cow factory, the milk factory. So if if it was a normal factory, people have been bringing containers and containers of raw materials to pump the factory for you. You take it or inherit it as a sign and you don't bring any raw material. You won't pack anything. So it's the same thing that people do in dairy farming. You buy an animal, They praise it. It is a heifer, yes. They even show you the bull. The mother of the bull was giving 40 liters. And then you are confident at least the minimum this heifer should give me is 20 or 25. To your shock, you harvest only 5 liters per day. Where is the problem? It's not the breed, no, it is the nutrition. So pay attention to those concepts of nutrition. Remember, do not feed the same type of feed along with the dairy, the lactation cycle. At the start, feed the feed that has low protein. In the middle, feed the feed that has high protein. And at the end of the lactation cycle, feed the feed that is of low protein. But ask an expert to make for you that feed. I will not give you these examples here because I'll mislead you to be stuck on this one formula. And yet the latest technology or advances in feed formulation is what we call the least cost formulation. You get your formula from what you have and based on the cost of getting each of those resources. So do not get things and cram and stick to it. No, just contact us or any other nutritionist who will give you the right formulation for your cow along the production cycle or the lactation cycle. Thank you and bye-bye.